This is Wednesday, season 3, episode 181 of the one and only Walk Down. Yeah. We mourn the great Jesse Jackson continuously and all through Black History Month. Shout out to Donald Trump, who did what nobody thought he was going to do. See, when you're a good man and you do what you're supposed to do, guess what? People will recognize it. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people didn't know that Donald Trump supported Jesse Jackson. A lot of people didn't know that. I heard some people were saying yesterday, some younger people, that they didn't even know that Jesse Jackson ran to be the president of the United States twice. And both times, he didn't make it past the Democratic finals, but he came in second place. He was almost over the top. You know, he was almost there, but he tried twice to become the president of the United States. You know, and both times, Donald Trump wanted Jesse Jackson to become the president, guys. We got to understand that Donald Trump financed a lot of what the Rainbow Coalition and what Jesse Jackson was doing in the 70s and the 80s and also the 90s. Well, I think Donald Trump changed horses right sometime in the 90s. Because if you didn't know how young people do not know these things, well, the young people that I was talking to yesterday, they didn't know that a lot of people, you know, specifically in a certain community, catwalk, you know, especially these days, nobody really talks about the history and things like that. So the people that was saying it yesterday, one person said that they never knew that Jesse Jackson ran for president, and the other person said that in their household, this is the Black community, in their household, nobody ever talked about Jesse Jackson. You know, so that lets you know that it's less history education lessons in the family household within the Black community. That's what it lets you know what I'm saying? Especially these days. You know, a lot of people are not even really worried about, I don't have really no idea or thoughts to Jesse Jackson and what he did and how he took over the torch after Martin Luther King and how he kept the dream alive. But what we got to understand is that Martin Luther King, he got assassinated. He was 39 years old. You know, so after, hold up, Chad, let me get past this. After, hold on, Chad. After Martin Luther King was assassinated, we got to remember, Jesse Jackson was like 20, he was in his 20s. Jesse Jackson, Chad, whenever he witnessed that, because he was there when Dr. Martin Luther King got assassinated, and Jesse Jackson was on the scene. He was there. And guess what, Chad? Jesse Jackson was he was around 25, 26 years old, maybe 27, whenever Dr. Martin Luther King was assassinated. So in other words, Jesse Jackson had to grow up in his mid-20s and take over the whole movement. You know, and as we think about it, we got to really think about the movement. It was totally different back then. Those guys back then, they were actually, it wasn't about the money to them, right? Now these days, you know, a lot of this stuff is really about the money. But back then, doing civil rights movement, back in those days, those dudes was doing it, you know, for life, right? They put their whole blood, sweat, and tears into what was going on, and they didn't have any money. You know what I'm saying? They did it for the love of the civil rights movement and the rights as an American in the country. You know what I'm saying? So Jesse Jackson took over at an early age, Chad. And guess what he did? He put the work in. Listen to the OG. Jesse Jackson put the work in. You know what I'm saying? He was out talking to people, out mingling with people, out helping the people, out teaching the people about economics and what it means, you know, to be together as a family, as a unit. Forget all that messing and all that gossip stuff. Really building as a family, as a unit. Really building as a family, as a community. Really building as a family as for equal rights as far as the country goes. You know, that's what was going on, chat. And I appreciate y'all for joining me. We got 40 people in the building. Appreciate y'all for joining me. Hit the like button. You know what I'm saying? But Donald Trump, you know what I'm saying, financed a lot of that stuff. You know what I'm saying? We have to know these things, you know, and so far, these days, nobody want to talk about what's going on. Well, some communities, some group of people don't want to talk about the 80s and the 90s. You know, they want to sweep that up under the rug and make it seem like the 80s and the 90s is old. But what they fail to realize, time always repeats itself. You know what I'm saying? Time always repeats itself. It's just different people. You know what I'm saying? But time always repeats itself, chat. Listen to the OG. So yeah, but it's very important to understand what happened in the 60s, 70s, and the 80s. You know, and how different men, particularly in the certain community, how different men are these days from the Jesse Jacksons. You know what I'm saying? Jesse Jackson was a strong black man that loved the people. You know what I'm saying? He loved the people. And you know, a lot of people want to try to bring up the mistakes, you know, that people make, the mistake that Jesse Jackson made. But guess what, chat? Everybody makes mistakes. But the thing is, does your good works overcome your mistakes? Because as human beings, we're all gonna make mistakes, right? Nobody's perfect. I don't care who you are. Nobody's perfect. You know what I'm saying? So we have to understand. And as people, as human beings, you have to make sure that your good deeds, you have to make sure that the good deeds that is inside of your bag outweighs the bad. You know what I'm saying? You got to make sure that your foundation is straight. You got to make sure that your foundation hold up. You also got to make sure that your who you are as a man, who you are as a woman, you got to stand up for who you are. You got to have a foundation. So many people these days ain't got no foundation, chat. That's the reason why some people don't even know who Jesse Jackson is, chat, because they never was introduced to what their foundation really is. You know what I'm saying? Some people only know about destruction. Some people only raised around destruction and negativity and things like that. You know, with no structural foundation. We got to admit it. Some people were raised like wild gorillas. I said it. Some people just raised like wild wolves and gorillas and wild dogs, chat. That's just what it is. You know what I'm saying? But then they be quick to act like they know everything. How can you say something about a Jesse Jackson when you didn't even know? This person was trying to tell me about Jesse Jackson, right? But this person didn't even know that Jesse Jackson ran for president twice. This person didn't even, and this other person also told me that they never talked about Jesse Jackson in their household. A man that led a whole movement for over 50 years. We got to remember when Dr. King was assassinated, rest in peace to Dr. Martin Luther King and all the King family and all the work that they put in and continue to put in to this day. Guess what, chat? Jesse Jackson had to take over that whole group of people, you know, and lead the people when Martin Luther King got assassinated. He was 25, 26 years old, chat. You know, I can't remember the exact age, but I know for a fact Jesse Jackson was under 30 years old. Just think about that for a second. He was around 25, 26 years old, maybe 27, but he was in his 20s whenever Martin Luther King got assassinated, and he had to take over and explain to my grandparents, you know what I'm saying, my parents, what just happened and what was going on and where we're going moving forward as a person. That's what a young Jesse Jackson had to come back and explain to everybody in the community. What was the next plan? What was the next thing we're going to go moving forward? That's what they were thinking about. What was next? And guess what? They came together. And guess what? Over 50 years since the day that the great Dr. Martin Luther King was assassinated, chat, that the Reverend Jesse Jackson led a whole group of people, you know, mentoring a whole lot of group of men to make them strong men, not gossip boys, but strong men that be able to look a man in his eye and have a good conversation with a man. Yeah, that's the generation that Jesse Jackson, along with my dad, my grandfather, that's the type of foundation they was. We ain't got time to be arguing back and forth with no men. Let's have good conversation. And if we disagree to disagree, we move on. But we focusing on our families. We focusing on our kids and grandkids. We focusing on the long haul. We're not focusing on no bullshit bubble gum. You know what I'm saying? That's exactly what it is, Chad. And I say that to say this. Man, these guys and these dudes are not being raised the same no more. We got to get back to that. We got to get back to strong family men, strong family women with a foundation. You know what I'm saying? That's willing to put the work in. You know what I'm saying? That's willing to go put the work in. If you got a problem with somebody, have a conversation with them. Have a good conversation. You know what I'm saying? If you agree to disagree, you go your own separate ways. You know what I'm saying? Too many people are in their feelings these days. Too many people are in their feelings, chat. You know what I'm saying? That's why too many of them don't even really know anything. You know what I'm saying? How can you not know that Donald Trump financed, Donald Trump wanted Jesse Jackson to become the president of the United States? That's what we got to understand. That's what y'all have to learn. That's what y'all have to know. That Donald Trump twice financed. In other words, he was a Jesse Jackson supporter. That's what that means, Chad. Donald Trump in the 80s and the 80s and the 70s was a Jesse Jackson supporter. That's why he shouted out Jesse Jackson and gave Jesse Jackson the ultimate flowers. Jesse Jackson was a good man. Jesse Jackson did what he was supposed to do for his community. Jesse Jackson did what he's supposed to do for his family. He wasn't perfect. None of us are perfect. But guess what? His good deeds outweigh the bad things he did. His good deeds stand all the way up past the sky, guys. And the wrong things he did is probably about 3 feet tall. It's probably about 3 feet tall. So many people these days, Chad, what we got to understand is people want to focus on the bad things that you do. They want to focus on the bad things. That's how people are raised. That's because they don't have a foundation. You know what I'm saying? We got to get back to foundational families. We got to get back to common sense. You know what I'm saying? You don't judge a book by the outside. You judge the book by what's inside. You know what I'm saying? You got to read the whole book. You just don't read one chapter. You know what I'm saying? To get a full understanding of what the book is about. It don't make any sense to read one chapter or read 2 chapters and act like you know the whole book. It don't work like that. You will miss key points and key situations that could probably change you and your whole family's trajectory. Just like videos. You don't just watch one piece of the video and think you know the whole video. Watch the whole video. As we talk about videos in 2026, don't that many people read anymore. So we're talking about videos now. You talking about videos, Stock Sniper? Yes, I'm talking about videos. Watch the whole video. Don't watch 20 or 30 minutes of a whole hour video and think you know what the whole video is about. You're going to miss the gems and the nuggets that could probably change your whole trajectory of what you think about a certain situation. Yeah, but I'm here to tell y'all right now, for all y'all that don't know in the back, Donald Trump was a Jesse Jackson supporter. Yeah, he was. And can't nobody argue about that. You can't do it. If you don't know about it in real life, if you wasn't blessed to have a daddy or a granddaddy or a granddaddy or uncles to give you the game and the knowledge that who was right there when everything went down, try to look it up and you'll see. You'll see. So we got to understand, a lot of people was shocked, chat. A lot of people were shocked what Donald Trump said about Jesse Jackson yesterday morning, as we still mourn the great Jesse Jackson of the work he put in, as we reminisce on all the good work he put in. And we got to get back to that, chat. We got to get back to economic values. We got to get back to family. We got to get back to loving your brothers and sisters. We got to get back to that, chat. We got to get rid of all the division. We got to get rid of all the arguing and bickering, because it really don't make any sense. Because why, Stock Sniper? Because we stronger together as a people. We stronger together. That's what we got to understand. And yes, it's certain people that run shit at the top that want us divided, guys. Some people want us divided. You know what I'm saying? But we got to understand. We got to come together as a people. We got to come together. We got to be able to sit down at the table and have great conversation about whatever it is. Great positive conversation. real men and real women have a conversation about disagreements or agreements. It really don't matter. Some of the best business plans, some of the best business decisions, some of the best things that we really need to take care of is done by a simple conversation. You never know who you might be talking to on the other end. There ain't no telling who in this chat. Shout out to the chat, everybody that's in the chat right now. Shout out to y'all. There's too many comments. I can't really go through and read every comment. Why Stock Sniper? Because I'm exercising. If you just now coming here, you got to understand what this is. This is the walk down. I run 3 miles a day, then I walk another 1.25 miles, and we have a good discussion with the people, right? So make sure you make sure you subscribe to the channel and you hit that like button. That's right. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and hit the like button. Appreciate y'all for joining me. I love y'all, chat. Everybody that's been rocking with the channel, I love and I appreciate y'all. But yes, chat, we have to understand that. Listen to the OG chat. If you don't know, if you just now joining, Donald Trump was a big Jesse Jackson supporter. That's exactly what it was, man. Donald Trump wanted, I got to keep saying it, because a lot of people don't know it. A lot of people want to sweep it up under the rug. But Donald Trump actually wanted Jesse Jackson. He wanted Jesse Jackson to be the president of the United States. That's the truth. That's facts. That ain't nothing that I done made up. That ain't nothing that I done heard. That's what I know. You know what I'm saying? So that being said, don't be shocked and don't be surprised that he gave Jesse Jackson all those flowers that he did yesterday, chat. He respected Jesse Jackson highly regards. He also said something that I don't hear that many people talk about. He said that Jesse Jackson couldn't stand Barack Obama. Now we all seen how happy Jesse Jackson, how happy Jesse was whenever Barack Obama became the president of the United States. We all remember, because guess what, y'all? Jesse Jackson, the great Jesse Jackson, is the one that put the footwork down. He's the one that put the footwork down so Barack Obama could become the president of the United States. We got to understand that. Everything that Jesse Jackson did when Dr. Martin Luther King was assassinated led up to the great Barack Obama becoming the president of the United States. No matter if you like what Obama did as the president or not, Jesse Jackson, all the footwork, Dr. Martin Luther King losing his life at a young age, and basically Jesse Jackson, as a youngster, had to take over. Just think about how much gut, how much heart, how much strong backbone Jesse Jackson had to have to do what he did. He was only 26 years old, Chad. He was only 20 when Dr. Martin Luther King got killed, Chad. Jesse Jackson was only 25 or 26 years old when he had to lead a whole community. Just think about it for a second. When the leader of the community, the great Dr. Martin Luther King, was assassinated, just imagine, think about the people in that era. Think about the people, how the people felt when that man got assassinated at a young age of 39 years old. We got to remember, Martin Luther King was barely in his 30s, chat. These guys were young. You know what I'm saying? These guys were very young. And guess what? Guess what? Jesse Jackson had to step up. Just think of how much trauma Jesse Jackson was going through when he was right there in the hotel room when Martin Luther King was assassinated as a young guy. Think about what trauma he had to go through. He had to do what? He had to stand 10 toes down, chat, because he understood as a 25, 26-year-old man that what he understood, Stock Sniper, he understood that the work and what we started has to be finished. And he knew exactly at that moment when he was right there with Dr. Martin Luther King, chat, in that hotel, Jesse Jackson knew right then and there that it was all in, chat. Jesse Jackson knew at that time that the whole weight of the whole community was on his shoulders, bro. And guess what Jesse Jackson did, chat? At a young age, we got to think about how young the guy was. Jesse Jackson was 25, 26 years old. And he took a whole community and put it on his back, bro. All the pain Jesse Jackson was going through, everything he had to encounter. He had to be a man. He had to be a man and tie up his bootstraps and put a whole community on his back just about the whole America on his back and get us to the finish line of where we at right now here today. Guess what? If it wasn't for Jesse Jackson, if it was not for Jesse Jackson, we wouldn't be able to do the things that we do right now. If it wasn't for Jesse Jackson and Martin Luther King and all those great guys, Jesse Jackson had to take it and run it to the finish line. If it wasn't for Jesse Jackson, the great stock sniper that's sitting here right now wouldn't be in this great, amazing park doing what I do every single day. If it wasn't for Jesse Jackson, if it wasn't for Martin Luther King and all those great guys, those great, strong men, I ain't talking about no gossip boys. I'm talking about strong men with strong family values. I wouldn't be right here retired at 50 years old. I would not be retired doing what I'm doing right now at 50 years old. So yes, we got to get back to that. And it hurts my heart and it hurts my soul that a lot of these YouTubers ain't even talking about Jesse Jackson today. A lot of these youngsters don't even know, ain't even thinking about the movement. That's why I'm talking about it. That's why I'm talking about it right now. You know what I'm saying? That's why I did a live about it a year ago, talking about the same thing on how great Jesse Jackson was. Jesse Jackson was about growth and development. Jesse Jackson was about economic values, which is the foundation of this YouTube channel. Jesse Jackson was about economic values and going from nothing into something. Jesse Jackson was about spending less and making investments and passing it down to your kids and grandkids. That's what he was about. And guess who was right there? I don't care what nobody say. Guess who was right there with him, trying to make it all happen? Donald Trump was right there with him. He was right there financing, helping Jesse Jackson build that rainbow coalition that we know about right now here today. Donald Trump was right there. Donald Trump gave him a building on my block, Wall Street. Yeah, that's my block. Donald Trump gave him a building on Wall Street that nobody want to talk about. Nobody want to talk about how Donald Trump was the foundation of that rainbow coalition, and he gave him a building on Wall Street. He gave him a building on Wall Street, chat. That's exactly what he did. All you younger guys out there that don't know, I'm telling you right now. And if you don't believe me, you got Google. All you got to do is look it up. I mean, it's unfortunate that a lot of you younger guys didn't have a daddy or a grandpa that was in the mix of the action. But guess what? It's time to learn. Because what they're trying to do is they were trying to sweep all Jesse Jackson and all this history and all this knowledge and all this game up under the rug, chat. All up under the rug. They was trying to sweep it up under the rug. They was trying to sweep it up under the rug. 4192, you don't know what you're talking about. You don't know nothing that you don't know what you're talking about. You don't know, and that's okay. I'm here to tell you. You better listen to the OG. What you mean he ain't never did enough for black people? All the black people he mentored, all the black people he helped, all the black people he took and put an economic plan in their family household. You don't know what you're talking about, bro. You absolutely don't know what you're talking about. So if I was you, I would stop typing and I would listen to what the OG talking about. I would listen to what the OG talking about. Jesse Jackson was in the field, bro. He was in the field. He was in the field. When you say meet me in the field, meet me in the hood, meet me on the block, Jesse Jackson was there. Not for a year, not for a decade, for 30, 40 years straight. 30, 40 years straight, preaching economics, preaching black wealth, building great fathers. What you don't understand and what you don't know, Jesse Jackson was a mentor to a lot of these fathers, a lot of them, a lot of the great pastors, a lot of the great men were mentees of Jesse Jackson. Was mentees. And this ain't something I done heard. This ain't something I done read on the internet. This is something I know in real life. See, over here, I talk about real life, shit that I know about on the ground. You better listen to the OG. Don't let them tell you Jesse Jackson didn't do nothing for black people. Bro, what you gotta understand, if it wasn't for Jesse Jackson, ain't no way Obama would have been the president of the United States. There's no way without the work that Jesse Jackson put in. There's no way. And guess what? Jesse Jackson and that foundation is still putting the work in right now as we speak. Why, Stock Sniper? Because I'm speaking of what my dad taught me, what my grandpa taught me, what we seen in real life, not off the internet. That's what's wrong with you, a lot of you dudes. Y'all don't know nothing but the internet. And then when somebody who's doing it in real life try to tell you something, you want to type like you know what you're talking about. But when you type, I already know you don't know what you're talking about what you're saying. About what you're saying. It ain't my fault that you're like the person told me yesterday. They didn't even know. They family, they daddies and grandpas never talked about Jesse Jackson in their household. That just means you grew up in a dysfunctional household. That's all. I said it. That's all it means. That's what it tells me. If you are black and you're saying that Jesse Jackson never did nothing for black people, that lets me know your upbringing. That lets me know your upbringing. Just by what you're typing. Just like that. So you gotta understand that. What you gotta do, if you're in that position, you got to change your circle. You have to change the circle of people that you hang around. You gotta get into a good, you gotta be around great older guys that got a foundation that you can learn from. You have to be around older people, right? That have a great foundation. I'm not talking about your favorite rapper. I'm talking about older people that have a real foundation. And I don't have time enough to break down what a real foundation is. You should already know that. But you have to be around older guys that understand what a real foundation is, that have been raised by real men and women to understand what I'm talking about. That's what you got to understand. And another thing you got to understand, if you don't know what you're talking about, it's best to shut up. Like my grandpa and my dad used to tell me, you think you know everything, but you don't know nothing. It's best you shut up and listen. In other words, stop typing and start and listen to what the OG talking about. That's what's wrong with a lot of you dudes. All y'all do is play games. Life ain't about no game, bro. When shit hit the fan, then it ain't a game. But yes, as we mourn the great Jesse Jackson, and yes, it's gonna be haters. It's gonna be people that try to, you cannot talk negative about an icon. That you cannot talk negative about an icon that done more than your dad and your grandpa, your whole upline all together. The amount of people that Jesse Jackson done helped. It goes down I-10. And if you know anything about I-10 is long. And guess what? Even though Jesse Jackson, he been battling mental problems for 15 years. Guess what, chat? His teachings and what he taught us, it still lives on to this day, right now as we speak. So how are you gonna say that Jesse Jackson ain't do nothing for the black community when you listening to one right now? Come on now, we gotta have a little bit of common sense around here. I'm sitting there giving you basic knowledge. I'm sitting there telling you from life experiences. I'm sitting there telling you that they're trying to sweep Jesse Jackson's blueprint up under the rug and want you to think Jesse Jackson ain't did nothing for the black community. And I'm a black man right now that's retired at 50 years old. And I'm telling you right now, Jesse Jackson laid it all down on the line, put the work in, the real work. Go and work on a 9 to 5 and earn spending less and all that, fuck all that. Real work is what Jesse Jackson did. At 25 years old, when Dr. Martin Luther King died in that hotel right in front of the young 25-year-old Jesse Jackson. He was 25, 26, 27, whatever. In other words, you know I'm about numbers. I rounded off to the nearest 10. He was 25 years old. Just like I've been out here putting the work in for 25 summers, well, finna be 26 summers and 26 winters, same exact thing. You can't talk down on somebody that's been putting the work in for decades. You better listen to the OG. You can't talk down on somebody that's really out here. That's why I can't stand about you niggas on the internet. I'm sorry, chat, I'm crunk. But that's what I can't stand about you dudes on the internet. You think you know everything. You can't stop typing and learn something from a real OG that's on here for a reason. I'm not on here for bullshit and bubblegum. I'm on here for a reason. As we mourn the great Jesse Jackson right here today. Don't let nobody tell you that man ain't do nothing for the black community. It's a lie. Because you're looking at one right now. As we mourn Jesse Jackson's death. You're looking at one right now. A lot of the things that we're able to do right now, a lot of the things that my grandkids are able to do right now, all the things that my kids are able to do right now is because of the things that that man did. That's why. That's why. And we got to understand that. At 659, talk about something that don't even really matter. That's another thing, chat. We're always discussing and talking about stuff, typing stuff that don't even matter, bro. That's why a lot of y'all don't know nothing. That's why a lot of people don't know anything. It's because they typing and talking about stuff that don't even really matter. Economic planning. Stay out till you come up. Teaching it to your kids and grandkids. Teaching it to your circle. And teaching to the people around the world. That's what matters, bro. That's what matters. That's exactly what matters. And if you're new to the channel, you got to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Because guess what? A lot of people on YouTube ain't talking about what I'm just talking about. A lot of people on YouTube, a lot of people in the world, a lot of people in the government don't want you to know that Donald Trump was a Jesse Jackson supporter. A lot of people don't want you to know that Jesse Jackson and Donald Trump were good friends. Jesse Jackson was Donald Trump's mentor. I said it. Jesse Jackson was Donald Trump's mentor. If you don't believe me, go look it up. If you don't believe me, run my videos back. I did a whole live about Jesse Jackson and Donald Trump's relationship last year. I did a whole live about how Jesse Jackson and Donald Trump, and that Donald Trump was Jesse Jackson's biggest supporter. I did a whole live about that last year. But if you look at it right now, you got Reverend Al Sharpton, who I love dearly. He's over there protesting on Wall Street against everything in the foundation they was trying to put down. They're trying to erase it, chat. All you gotta do is stop being in people's chats and stop typing and start educating yourself. Start educating your kids. Start educating your grandkids. That's the reason why a lot of people don't even know. I just talked to some people yesterday, chat, that told me that they tried to tell me about Jesse Jackson, like what that dude did, tried to tell me Jesse Jackson ain't do nothing for black people, but they didn't even know Jesse Jackson ran for president. They didn't even know that. And also that Jesse Jackson was never brought up in their household. How can you speak on something and the leaders in your house ain't teaching you? How can you speak on, that's another thing that gets me about this internet. You got people talking about things that their daddy didn't teach them, that their mama didn't teach them, that their grandparents didn't teach them. You got people trying to tell you stuff that they learned from the internet. I'm talking about stuff that I learned from life experiences and what was taught to me by my great father, grandma, great-grandpa, all that was taught to me. In other words, I'm the OG, whether you like it or not. It is what it is. And guess what? I stand on that. I stand on it, chat. I stand on it. And that's what we got to get back to. We got to get back to mentors. Having a mentor that can teach you about your history. They try to tell us that the past don't matter. Don't think about the past. The past has everything to do with the future. Has everything to do with the future. We got to understand that. It's called history. Why you think they teach you history in school? Why you think when you at the table, well, a lot of people probably don't even go through this. You got family members telling you about great-great-granddad, great-great-grandpa, and how great-great-grandpa was, and how you look like great-grandpa, how you act like your grandpa, how you act like your daddy. If he's about something. Some people, they're telling them that you act just like your daddy and he's a piece of shit, which is a whole nother story. But if somebody's telling you you act like your daddy and he's a stand-up guy, you act like your grandpa, and he did what? He earned, he spent less, he made proper investments, and he left things down to his kids and grandkids. That's who I want to act like. I want to be like somebody like that. I don't want to be like, I don't want my daddy to be no Pookie and Ray Ray, and my mama tell me I act just like my daddy, and my daddy was a Pookie and a Ray Ray. That's a shame. That's a shame. So we got to understand who we listening to, chat. That's the biggest thing about this internet chat. If y'all get anything out of this live, you got to listen to you got to pay attention to who you listening to on the internet. You got to. And if you trying to get information, you got to make sure you're getting your information for somebody that's in the field and that's been there and done that. That's how it works. Otherwise, they'll do what? They'll lead you in the wrong direction. They'll have you not know your left foot from your right foot, but then you'll think you know it all. Like the person I was talking to yesterday. They was trying to tell me about Jesse Jackson, but then when I started questioning them, they didn't even know that Jesse Jackson ran for president. How can you tell me about somebody and you don't know nothing about them? You got to realize who you talking to. You know, you got to realize who you in the presence of. And all you got to do is listen to them talk. That's why most of these dudes these days don't want to have a conversation, chat. They don't want to have a real intellectual, beneficial conversation. They don't. Because they can't. They can't even walk for an hour, let alone have a real conversation for an hour without arguing, without getting emotional. We got to understand that. And that right there is a foundational complex. That's what it is. Because a lot of people, if you really think about it, a lot of people and a lot of these guys and girls didn't have a foundation. Meaning that when they was young, their mom and daddy let them do whatever they want to do. A lot of them jump off the porch at 11 years old. A lot of their parents were crackheads. I said it. A lot of their parents were drug addicts. We got to understand that, chat. And it's happening more and more and more. More and more and more. More and more and more. If you just look around in real life and in your real life, analyze your friends. Analyze who you socialize with. Analyze all that. And majority of them was raised like wild dogs. And that's just what it is. That's exactly what it is, chat. That's right, Don. A lot of people don't know that. A lot of people don't know that. But they'd be the first people to try to speak on something that they absolutely know nothing about. That's why my grandpa always told me to watch the film and listen. Always watch the film and listen. Always have open ears, open eyes, and keep your mouth closed. That's what my grandpa always told me ever since I was a little bitty boy. Watch the film and always listen. Be slow to speak and quick to listen. Yeah, I'm talking a lot now because I listened for 50 years. I listened for 45 years. So I've seen a lot. I've been through a lot. I done heard a lot. I have done a lot. And that's what y'all need to understand. Y'all need to understand who y'all listening to. Some people will take something they heard from Stock Sniper TV and tell it to you. But they ain't they'll never nowhere putting the work in. They'll never nowhere doing nothing. They're never really outside. They inside. We gotta understand that. And all you gotta do is listen to them talk for 30 minutes. Take one skill, a very important skill. What is it called, Stock Sniper? It's called listen. Don't type, just listen. All you gotta do. If you listen to whoever, just listen. They'll tell you who they are. You listen and you watch their moves. That's all you gotta do, chat. And you'll figure them out. Don't be so quick to jump on the bandwagon. Sit back and listen and pay attention. And you'll find out everything you need to find out. That's all you gotta do. As I've been walking for 41 minutes, been walking for 2 hours straight. No, I haven't. 41 minutes straight. I've been walking for 2 miles. I ran 3, and now I'm walking another 2. That's what I'm doing today. Is that live today? What live are you talking about, Stock Sniper? The live that I'm really pushing out the information today, Jay. One of these days or one of them days. Yeah, this is not a 30-minute day. This is not a 1.25 day. This is not a run 3 miles, walk a 1.5 miles day. No, it's not one of them days. So the best thing to do is listen to the OG speak. Because I ain't got to be on here, chat. I ain't got to be on here. I'm on here for a specific reason. I'm on here giving out all the knowledge, putting information on everybody's mind that watch and tune in. Because I want to see y'all thrive. I want to see y'all succeed. I want to see y'all put a plan down for you and your family. I want you and your family to succeed. I want you to find something that you love to do. I want you to master it. I want you to earn. I want you to spend less money. I want you investing in the things that you know, like, and trust. I want you teaching it to your kids and grandkids. I want you teaching it to people in your circle. And then after that, I want you to do what I'm doing. What is that, Stock Sniper? Teaching it to the people all over the world with health, with wealth, with a foundation, and understand it's a marathon. It's not a sprint. We got to understand that. And once you understand it take time to shine, it all come into play. But first you got to be able to listen and get the information and get the knowledge. And don't think you know everything. Especially when you talking to an OG, a real OG. I'm 50 years old and I'm retired, bro. I'm out here doing what I want to do. And this is what I want to do at this particular time. Y'all seen me at the Super Bowl. Y'all seen me at the NCAA finals. I'm out here doing my thing. Now I'm out here exercising, training for a marathon. If you've been on the walk down before, you already know what it is. If you're just not joining, subscribe to the channel as we get close to 10,000 subscribers. A lot of people want to know what gaming computer, what computer do I use for trading? What computer do I use for live streaming? And guess what? It is up right now. That computer, all you gotta do is click that card. It's gonna take you to Best Buy. That is the exact computer that I use every single day for day trading, for live streaming. That's what I use every single day. I got to put that promotional thing in there right there, chat, because people have been wanting to know. That nice, pretty computer, that the lights all shine up, that y'all see on my shorts. That's the computer right there. And if you like it, and you know it's tax season, guess what? If you're a content creator, that is a great investment. Invest into your craft. Invest into if you're a content creator, you say you're a YouTuber, there go you a good investment. It's not a buy. It's an investment to invest in your social media, YouTube business. That's the exact same gaming computer that I use. A great computer, by the way. It's a great computer. So hit that card button, hit that link right there, and go over there and check the computer out. A lot of people have been asking me, dang, Stock Sniper, I like that computer. I like that computer that's on that short. There it is right there. And it's a good computer. Very, very good. You into day trading. There you go. You into content creation. There you go. You want to set up, right? If you're a YouTuber or you on TikTok or you streaming, that computer right there, that gaming computer, that's all you need. That's all you need right there. That's the exact same computer that y'all see on my short day trading. Great computer for day trading. It's a great computer for gaming. If you're a gamer, you know, it's a great computer. It is a gaming computer. It can handle everything you can do. Excellent computer. Be blessed, sir. I'm gone. Put the computer info up. It should be a link somewhere within this live somewhere. Because a lot of people have been asking about that computer that I use. They see it on my shorts, and it lights up real pretty. You know, it's a gaming computer. It's a gaming computer. It's a day trading computer. You know, it's good for gaming, day trading, and content creation if you're a content creator. And if you're a content creator, chat. If you're a day trader, you can't be day trading on your phone. You got to get you a good setup. You know what I'm saying? That you can execute your positions in and out fast with speed. And that's a great computer. If you're a content creator, if you're doing YouTube, if you're always doing YouTube from your phone, you monetize. It is a must that you upgrade your YouTube business because YouTube is a business. You got to upgrade it, you know, so you can do more things. It's editing, you know, all different kind of things. It's really, really great. Shout out to NVIDIA. Shout out to AMD. Shout out to ChatGPT and all those great services. As the other thing, chat, AI is coming real, real fast. And we got to get prepared. We got to get prepared, chat. And I appreciate y'all for joining me. We got 41 people in the building. And guess what? I overwent my time. Guess what, chat? We almost on 2.5 miles walking on this walk down. Appreciate y'all for joining me. I hope y'all learned something. You know, if you're young, you have to understand, you have to understand your community history. You have to understand that. You got to teach it. If nobody taught it to you, that's the great thing about the internet. You can learn. That's the great thing about Stock Sniper TV. You can take a little bit on what I say, and you can go do some homework. You can go look it up. And what the best thing, this is what y'all do, this is what you do, chat. This what all younger guys need to do. And sit your family down, right? Whatever you just heard, teach it to your kids, teach it to your spouse. Sit at the family table, you know, sit at the table and have a discussion about economic plan, a good economic plan, you know, a good healthy plan, you know, a foundation on how you want your family to be in the next 15 years. Sit down with your spouse, sit down with your kids, and say, hey, where do we want our family to be in 2035? 10 years. And if you say, well, ain't Stock Sniper, that's a long time. 10 years is not that long, chat. They want us to think that 10 years is long. But take it from the OG, it's not long. Or just try 5. You know, but you got to put down an economic plan, a financial plan, a spiritual plan. In other words, you have to put a plan down to where you want your families to be in 10 years. And you got to sit down. You got to sit down as a family, and you got to map it all out. Because guess what, chat? When you go to McDonald's, when you go to Whataburger, you go to any one of these businesses, what do they have on the wall? They got a plan. What time this person come in the shift? You know, how many hamburgers we done sold? They have their business plan on the wall in a lot of these fast food restaurants. So we got to take a play out of these big corporations' playbook. If they're doing it, we're supposed to be doing it as well in a house, as a family, as a community. That's how it works, chat. In other words, and if you're doing that, you ain't got time to be worrying about no bullshit and no bubble gum. And that's just what it is, chat. As we get to the end of the walk down, as we celebrate Jesse Jackson, as we celebrate him, we gotta, and guess what, chat? Is, you know, just like America is really divided, guys. We have to understand this. This is very, very important. America is really divided. Households are divided. Communities are divided. We just seen a couple of weeks ago when a father killed his daughter behind Donald Trump and the MAGA movement. Some people are obsessed with it. You know, when we gotta understand that we are really, really divided. So it's gonna be people, depending on who you got across who come across your YouTube screen. It's a lot of people that are gonna say bad things about a great man. And that's not cool. That's not right. It's gonna be a lot of people that could say bad things, that's gonna say a lot of bad things about the man. But they're not gonna talk about the good things about him. And then if you ask them anything about him, they don't know nothing about him. They mama don't know nothing about him. They daddy don't know nothing about him. They grandpa don't know nothing about him. That lets you know right there. Okay, you say this about him, okay? Did your mama talk about him? Did your daddy talk about him? Was your grandpa was around in the civil rights era? Because guess what? If you have grandparents that was around that civil rights era, because guess what? The whole community was involved, chat. Every church in the black community back in the 60s, the 50s, the 70s was involved in this whole movement. The segregation thing, the separation of bringing everybody together, which is another conversation. That's a whole nother conversation for a whole nother live, you know? Because we got to, when it comes to that conversation, we got to understand the vision that they had at that time. That's why I'm so blessed to have a mom that grew up in that era, my dad that grew up in the era, that sat me down at the table and told me key things that happened in that era. Yeah, they was all excited about everybody coming together. They was all excited about the segregation part until it actually happened. That's a whole nother live, chat. I wish, before I interview anybody, I want to do some interviews on here, but I can't interview nobody until I get my mama on here. That's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to try my best to do that because my mom knows a lot. She's a doctor, you know, and she knows a lot, you know, and she told me key things about everybody. Like I said, everybody was excited about being able to drink at the same water fountain. They were excited about going to the same schools, right? They was excited until it actually happened. When it actually happened, then they realized this wasn't what it was supposed to be. In other words, I'm gonna say this and I gotta go. To make a long story short, everybody was down with segregation, everybody coming together. Everybody was down with it. But then, just like it sometime, you think it's green, the grass is green on the other side. That's the best way I can explain it. They thought the grass was greener, and it really wasn't. They thought the grass was green like this, but it was really like this. And they didn't realize it till it happened. Man, I got some stories to tell y'all, bro. I got some stories to tell y'all. They thought it was greener on this side, and it was actually dirt. And it was too late. Like the great Martin Luther King said, I am the last speech he made before they took his life. Man, I'm afraid that I just led my people into a burning building. They didn't understand. They didn't understand it, chat. That's why it's good that my family sat me at the table and told me everything that happened afterwards, how they were getting treated. You know what I'm saying? Because how it went was once they brought everybody together, it wasn't like they were coming to the black schools. No, The blacks had to go to the white schools. That's exactly what happened. And my parents laid it down and told me they got the worst of books, they got the worst of teachers, etc., etc., etc. They got treated all kind of ways when they brought both races together. That's exactly what happened. And everybody, most people don't have the parents that can teach them these valuable things. That's why I'm so blessed. But thank God for the great Jesse Jackson. Thank God for Martin Luther King. They were young and they had a plan and they had good intentions. And guess what? And because of that, we're able to do what we do right now today. Because of that, I'm able to share these things to the world. So thank God for the great Jesse Jackson. Thank God for Dr. Martin Luther King. Thank God for all that. So with that being said, chat, I gotta go. I thank y'all for rocking with me. I thank y'all, I thank y'all, I thank y'all. And if you learned anything out of this, please consider subscribing to the channel and hit the notification bell so you'll be notified each and every time we go live. I love and I appreciate y'all, chat. Thank y'all for listening. I did everything I could to try to tell y'all what it really is from an OG perspective. All facts, not something that I done heard off the internet, but shit that I done heard from my foundation. So with that being said, I love and I appreciate y'all, chat. To the next one, I'm out.